We're back with the Fox News alert. Authorities are still trying to determine how Hollywood legend Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy died.
The sudden and mysterious deaths of legendary actor Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy Arakawa have left both the public and authorities searching for answers. Discovered in their Santa Fe, New Mexico home on February 26, 2025, alongside one of their dogs, the couple's passing has sparked widespread speculation and numerous theories. As investigations continue, the lack of clear evidence has only deepened the intrigue surrounding their untimely demise. On February 26, 2025, a maintenance worker arrived at the Hackman residence for routine upkeep. Upon entering, he discovered the lifeless bodies of Gene Hackman, 95, and Betsy Arakawa, 65, along with one of their dogs. The Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office was promptly notified, and deputies arrived to assess the scene. Initial observations noted no signs of forced entry or external trauma on the bodies, leading authorities to rule out immediate foul play. However, the unusual circumstances warranted a thorough investigation. The condition of the bodies provided crucial clues about the timeline of events. Hackman's pacemaker records indicated it ceased functioning on February 17th, suggesting he may have passed away on that date. Arakawa's body showed signs of advanced decomposition, implying she might have died shortly after her husband. The couple was found in different rooms, Hackman in the mudroom and Arakawa in the bathroom, with prescription medications discovered nearby. Given the absence of external injuries and the simultaneous deaths, initial speculation centered on carbon monoxide poisoning. This odorless, colorless gas can be lethal, especially when undetected. However, investigations by the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office, in collaboration with New Mexico Gas Company, found no evidence of gas leaks or elevated carbon monoxide levels in the home. This finding led authorities to dismiss this theory as the cause of death. Dr. Michael Baden, a renowned forensic pathologist, offered insights into the possible causes of death. He speculated that Hackman might have suffered a cardiac arrest, potentially related to his pacemaker malfunctioning. Arakawa, upon discovering her husband's collapse, could have experienced a fatal event herself, possibly a head injury or severe heart condition, leading to her death in the bathroom. The presence of prescription medications near Arakawa supports the possibility of underlying health issues. The enigmatic nature of the deaths has led to various speculations. Natural causes. Considering Hackman's advanced age and potential health issues, some believe both deaths resulted from natural causes. Accidental overdose. The discovery of prescription pills near Arakawa has fueled theories of an accidental overdose, either by one or both individuals. Homicide. Despite no evidence of foul play, some speculate about the involvement of a third party, given the simultaneous deaths. It's essential to note that these theories remain speculative, with no concrete evidence supporting any particular scenario. Beyond the tragic circumstances of his death, Gene Hackman's legacy as an actor is monumental. With a career spanning over 6 decades, he delivered unforgettable performances in classics such as The French Connection, Unforgiven, and The Conversation. His versatility and depth made him one of Hollywood's most respected figures. Hackman retired from acting in 2004, choosing a quieter life in Santa Fe with Arakawa, where he pursued writing and painting. Betsy Arakawa, a classical pianist, married Hackman in 1991. The couple shared a deep bond, with Arakawa supporting Hackman through his career and retirement. They maintained a relatively private life, making their sudden deaths all the more shocking to those who knew them. The Hackman Santa Fe home was a testament to their appreciation for Southwestern architecture and culture. Featured in Architectural Digest in 1990, the residence showcased rustic designs with modern comforts. Hackman and Arakawa curated the interiors with artifacts and artworks reflecting their refined tastes. As of now, the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office continues its investigation. Autopsy and toxicology reports are pending, which may shed light on the exact causes of death. Authorities have stated that while no foul play is suspected, they are exploring all possibilities to ensure a comprehensive understanding of the events leading to the couple's demise. The news of Hackman and Arakawa's deaths sent shockwaves through Hollywood and among fans worldwide. Tributes poured in, highlighting Hackman's contributions to cinema and his enduring legacy. During the Oscars tribute, Morgan Freeman, Hackman's friend and co-star, paid an emotional homage, recalling their collaborations and Hackman's profound impact on the film industry. The deaths of Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa remain shrouded in mystery. As investigations proceed, the world awaits answers to understand the circumstances that led to the loss of such an iconic figure and his beloved wife. Their passing not only marks the end of an era in Hollywood, but also serves as a poignant reminder of the fragility of life, even for those who seemed larger than life on the silver screen. It's not every day that Hollywood legends vanish from the public eye, only to resurface in headlines under tragic circumstances. But when news broke that Gene Hackman and his wife, Betsy Arakawa, had been found dead in their New Mexico home, the world was left in shock. How could one of the most respected actors of all time, a man who had seemingly chosen peace and quiet in his later years, suddenly become the center of a mysterious investigation? And why does it feel like there are more questions than answers? Gene Hackman was never the typical Hollywood star. He wasn't one to bask in the limelight, attend endless red carpets, or seek attention. Instead, he built his reputation on raw talent, portraying deeply human characters, flawed, determined, often teetering between hero and anti-hero. But even off-screen, Hackman had a certain mystique about him. Unlike many of his peers, he didn't chase fame. He walked away from it. After retiring from acting in 2004, he chose the quiet life, moving to Santa Fe with his wife, Betsy Arakawa. He focused on writing, painting, and enjoying the serenity of the New Mexico landscape. So, when the news came that both he and Betsy were found dead in their home under unusual circumstances, the public was left reeling. How does a couple, living peacefully, suddenly end up at the center of such a strange and unsettling story? Their Santa Fe home, now the scene of this shocking discovery, was supposed to be their retreat from the chaos of Hollywood, a place where Hackman could escape the industry's pressures and focus on his personal passions. But instead, it became the site of an unfolding mystery. What authorities found inside their home has left more questions than answers. At first, the deaths were suspected to be due to carbon monoxide poisoning, an invisible killer that has taken many lives in the past. But when investigators ruled out any gas leaks, the case suddenly took a different turn. There were no signs of a break-in, no obvious trauma, and no immediate clues pointing to a cause of death. So, what happened? Did Hackman, at 95, simply pass away from natural causes? Did his wife, unable to cope, follow soon after? Or is there something more sinister at play? When high-profile deaths occur under mysterious circumstances, theories begin to spread like wildfire. And this case is no different. Some make sense. Others, not so much. Although investigators ruled out carbon monoxide poisoning, some people aren't convinced. They argue that just because the home was clear when authorities arrived doesn't mean there wasn't exposure earlier. Could a faulty appliance have slowly poisoned the couple over time, only for the gas to dissipate by the time the bodies were discovered? Then there's the unsettling detail that one of their dogs was also found dead. If a gas leak had been responsible, it would make sense for pets to be affected first. But if carbon monoxide wasn't the culprit, what was? Gene Hackman had been out of the public eye for years. Aside from the occasional paparazzi photo, there were few updates on his health. While it's known that he battled heart issues, he had a pacemaker, there's been little information on what other conditions he may have had. Could his death have been caused by an undiagnosed medical emergency? And what about Betsy Arakawa? Reports say prescription medications were found near her body. Was she battling an illness of her own? Was it possible she had been caring for Hackman, only to succumb to stress or an undetected health issue herself? This is one of the more controversial theories circulating. Some believe that Hackman, who had lived a full life and was reportedly in declining health, may have chosen to end things on his own terms. Could Betsy, devastated by his passing, have taken her own life as well? While nothing publicly suggests the couple was struggling, people often hide their battles well. Was this a case of a devoted couple making an unspoken pact? Or is this theory just another example of the public looking for drama where there is none? And then there's the more dramatic speculation. What if something was found inside Hackman's home that someone didn't want the world to see? Some conspiracy theorists suggest that Hackman, after decades in Hollywood, may have known things that powerful people wouldn't want getting out. It's a theory that sounds straight out of one of his movies, but in an era where every major event breeds a new conspiracy, it's no surprise that some believe there's a deeper story being buried. The film industry has been shaken by Hackman's passing. Though he left Hollywood behind decades ago, his impact never faded. Tributes from actors, directors, and fans have poured in. Many have praised him not just for his talent, but for the integrity with which he carried himself. Morgan Freeman, a longtime friend and co-star, gave a heartfelt tribute at the Oscars, reflecting on Hackman's unwavering dedication to his craft. Others, like Robert Duvall and Dustin Hoffman, have spoken about the loss of one of the last true actors of his generation. But amidst the tributes, there's also unease, a sense that something about this doesn't quite add up. Authorities are still waiting on toxicology reports, which could provide more insight. But until then, the world is left in suspense. Will this case remain an unsolved mystery, forever shrouded in speculation? Or will new evidence come to light that finally explains what happened behind the closed doors of Gene Hackman's home? And perhaps the biggest question of all, what will history remember? The tragic mystery of his final days? Or the legacy of a man who gave the world some of the greatest performances in film history? For now, all we can do is wait and wonder. To truly understand the weight of Gene Hackman's mysterious death, we have to go back to the way he lived. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Hackman was never one to bask in the glow of Hollywood's artificial lights. He was known for his no-nonsense attitude, his reluctance to play the fame game, and most notably, his complete disappearance from the public eye in 2004. That decision wasn't just about retirement, it was an escape. Hackman had always been an outsider in the industry, a man who rose to fame despite his disdain for its excesses. He never attended parties unless he had to. He wasn't the type to schmooze with producers or stay in the tabloids. In fact, he openly spoke about how much he hated Hollywood's obsession with image. So when he walked away, he didn't just step back, he vanished. No fan conventions, no talk show appearances, no nostalgia-driven interviews reminiscing about the glory days. It was as if he had erased himself from the industry he had once dominated. That's what makes his death so eerie. A man who spent decades avoiding the limelight suddenly found himself in the center of a swirling storm of speculation. Hackman's Santa Fe home wasn't just any house. It was a fortress of privacy. Nestled in the remote landscapes of New Mexico, it was far removed from prying eyes. Hackman and Arakawa chose this location precisely because it offered them a quiet life, away from Hollywood's never-ending scrutiny. This raises a significant question. If Hackman and his wife were living in such a secluded location, how long had they been deceased before they were discovered? Initial reports suggested that their bodies showed signs of decomposition, meaning they had been dead for some time before anyone found them. But why did no one check on them sooner? They weren't exactly recluses. Hackman had a few close friends, and Arakawa still had connections in the music world. If days or even weeks had passed without anyone noticing, what does that say about their final moments? Did they simply pass away quietly, unnoticed by the outside world? Or was there something more at play? One of the strangest elements of this case is that no one seems to have a clear picture of Hackman and Arakawa's final days. Unlike other Hollywood deaths, where friends or family report odd behavior leading up to the tragedy, there were no such warning signs here, at least none that have been made public. However, some neighbors have since claimed that Hackman had been looking frail in recent months. One Santa Fe resident mentioned seeing him at a local grocery store, appearing weaker than usual. Another report suggests that Arakawa had been acting unusually withdrawn. Could this mean that they knew something was wrong? Had they been dealing with an illness in silence? Or were they avoiding something, or someone? It's almost poetic that Gene Hackman's death would be surrounded by mystery, given that he spent his career playing characters who lived in the gray area between hero and villain. He was never a typical leading man. His roles were complex, layered, often deeply flawed. Think about his performance in The French Connection, a detective obsessed with catching his target, but whose methods were brutal and morally questionable. Or Unforgiven, where he played a corrupt sheriff who justified violence in the name of order. Even in The Conversation, where he portrayed a surveillance expert consumed by paranoia, Hackman had a way of making audiences question what they thought they knew. Isn't it fitting, then, that in his final moments, we find ourselves doing the same thing, questioning every detail, searching for hidden clues, wondering what really happened in that secluded home? Hackman's case isn't the first time Hollywood has been left with more questions than answers. The industry is littered with the strange, the unexplained, and the downright unsettling. Take Natalie Wood, for example. Her drowning in 1981 remains one of Hollywood's most debated mysteries. Was it an accident, or did something more sinister happen aboard that boat? Or consider Marilyn Monroe's alleged overdose. Officially ruled as a probable suicide, her death has been wrapped in conspiracy theories for decades, ranging from government involvement to something even darker within Hollywood itself. Then there's George Reeves, the original Superman, whose apparent suicide in 1959 has never sat right with investigators. Some believe he was murdered, and Hollywood simply brushed it under the rug. Could Hackman's death end up joining the ranks of these enduring mysteries? Or will authorities eventually uncover a more straightforward explanation? One of the most intriguing aspects of this case is the mention of the FBI. While their presence might seem unusual, it's actually not uncommon for the Bureau to be involved in high-profile deaths, particularly when there are unanswered questions. However, what's interesting is what they were looking for. Reports suggest that when agents entered the mansion, they were caught off guard by what they found inside. But what exactly did they find? Theories range from the mundane, old documents, unpublished manuscripts, personal effects, to the outrageous, evidence of a long-lost Hollywood scandal, secret dealings, even hidden wealth. Some speculate that Hackman, known for his intelligence and independent streak, may have been sitting on information that was never meant to see the light of day. After all, he spent decades in the industry, working with people who had their fair share of secrets. Could he have been holding on to something, intentionally or not, that made certain people nervous? Or was the FBI's involvement nothing more than a formality, a standard procedure that has been blown out of proportion? At the heart of this ongoing speculation is a simple truth. The world loves a Hollywood mystery. It's why people are still obsessed with the death of James Dean, or why theories about Bruce Lee and his son Brandon continue to circulate. But why do we do this? Why do we turn real-life tragedies into puzzles to be solved? Maybe it's because Hollywood itself is built on illusion. We're so used to seeing actors as larger-than-life figures that when something happens to them, it doesn't feel real. It feels like another role, another script waiting for its final act. Gene Hackman, a man who spent his entire career making us believe in the stories he told, has now become the subject of one final, unscripted mystery. The investigation into Hackman and Arakawa's deaths is still ongoing. Toxicology reports may provide answers, but will they be enough to satisfy the public's curiosity? Even if authorities determine that their deaths were natural, will people accept it? Or will this become another Hollywood legend, whispered about for years to come? One thing is certain. Gene Hackman left behind more than just a legacy of brilliant performances. He left behind a final story, one that, for now, remains unfinished.